Today, we explore an exciting theme: emotional intelligence and spiritual growth with Nikki Siso. In one place, the power of your voice with Mike Murphy.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Power of Your Voice podcast, and I'm your host, Mike Murphy, and I'm super happy that you're here today. And by the way, thank you. The show is growing like crazy, and I'm very grateful. So if you like it, hit the like button, subscribe, but more importantly, especially today's topic, because a lot of people are struggling with this, share it. If you hear something, maybe it doesn't apply to you right now, maybe it does, but I'm guarantee you there's someone in your life that needs to hear this information. So please share this content because it's going to be super powerful today. By the way, do you struggle with diabetes or pre-diabetic or a loved one perhaps? And would you like to know how to eliminate that from your life forever? And what foods spike your blood sugar? Well, I'm super excited about today's guest. She's a fantastic person, has dealt with this herself, and her name is Dr. Nikki. And you can wake up with Dr. Nikki. Not literally, though, but, but I'm super glad that she's here. Dr. Nikki, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me, Mike.
I'm so grateful you're here. Do me a favor. Can you just share a little bit about your story and where you are today, if you would?
Yeah, my story has been a fascinating one. I've moved every year and a half of my entire life, starting as a child, and I kept it going as an adult. And so I've had tons of experiences, and I've had the pleasure of trying a lot of different things that this planet has to offer, which is a real treat. Was born and raised to a very powerful, strong Israeli woman. She was the 8th child of a Holocaust survivor, so unintentionally passed down a lot of pain. And not having a father around or any siblings, I really was the only one absorbing all of that. And so my body then later on in the years developed type 1 diabetes, and not blaming her in any way, but the body keeps the score, right? That book is really powerful, and it talks, your body's really talking to you. So if at any point you're, exhausted or overweight, or you actually get hit with a diagnosis of some kind, even cancer, it's your body talking to you. And so that was the journey that I then went on. I ended up getting a PhD in holistic health and nutrition. Prior to that, I had a master's in sustainability from Harvard, where I studied how the toxicity gets into our worlds and into our bodies and causes disease. And so, yeah, it just led me down this quest of seeking to understand what my body needs and what causes disease. And it's been fascinating. And the first 10 years, I would say I thought diabetes was a curse. And now I really see it as a blessing. It's my teacher.
And I love that because I'm going through my own health struggles right now. And I'm thanking God for it right now because it's forcing me to do what I should have done 20 years ago. For you guys out there listening, okay, like Dr. Nikki just said, pay attention so you don't end up where I ended up or where she ended up. And you can avoid these things, but we got to listen to what's going on. And when you have a sign of trouble, you got to be a detective. You got to figure what's going on, and you got to trust your own intuition because not all medical stuff out there today is going to be your best way to go. So, do you think? And I had a difficult parent. You had a difficult parent. Do you think there was any emotional relationship to you getting type 1 diabetes?
100%.
Oh,
yeah,
really? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So my mother was hypercritical. So to this day, she just points out how everything could be better, right?
Right.
I made my mother a tea 1,000 times. I don't think I've ever gotten it right. It's either too hot, too cold, too much water, too little water. Why don't you love me? Or I put milk. Why'd you put milk? Where's the milk? Like I could never get it right.
Wow.
And I felt that way about everything. And and I developed this very deep rooted sense of like, no matter what I do is not going to be good enough for mommy. And that implanted a belief of no matter what I do is not going to be good enough.
Wow.
And that led to that shows up in many other areas of my life. Yeah. Right. And business and other relationships. And so one glance, one kind of like mean glance or something, I'm like, oh, I did something wrong. She's not, she's mad at me, or right. Like,
right.
And it creates this like internal war in a
Yeah.
way, like this real self-sabotaging inner dialogue.
Yeah. You know, I know you've
Yeah.
done a lot of inner work. I have too. And what I realized is that we're always in fight or flight as a kid, you know, and
Yeah.
then you that becomes your norm. So you never relax, you know, and you have to really go inside and fix this stuff, that programming from that childhood, and figure out what the hell happened and how can I be free of this. And that's one of the things we do at Mountains of Hope. We believe in teaching. We got to detoxify the entire body. But more importantly, we got to rewire these neural pathways, get rid of these limiting beliefs and install powerful beliefs. And more importantly, get into this heart and clear those emotional wounds. And then we can find God and have a spiritual awakening and be the person we were meant to be. But that takes work, a lot of work. In your journey, what kind of work? I got to ask you right now, what's this clicker? Because I'm assuming
Sure.
that's a tool.
Yeah. The clicker is a subconscious reprogramming tool. I teach my clients to generate a really powerful mantra, and then they repeat that mantra and click. And so it works in 3 ways. So first of all, the brain, the subconscious gets rewired through repetition. It's just like practicing tennis. You got to practice over and over and over until it becomes a habit. So the repetition is key. That's why you repeat the mantra. The sound is the Pavlovian way, the auditory way the brain learns. So that's a reward for you clicking that mantra and thinking that belief. And then the visual, you have a visual measurement of success with the numbers going up with each click, right? Tony Robbins talks about visual measurements of success. So when you have those 3, repetition, auditory, and visual, your brain learns very quickly and adopts this new belief much faster. It's like a hyper speed tool that I use. It's so simple, right? It's just a clicker is like what the bouncers use to count how many people get into the club, you know, the little silver metal things, but it works. It works like magic. Yeah, my clients end up using it on their own, and they keep going with it once they're trained on how to create the really powerful mantras. They love it.
If I'm struggling in my life and I don't have diabetes, you can help me with anything that's going on, because it's all about reprogramming the subconscious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And calming the nervous system and getting the toxicity out.
Yes.
Right. The toxins are the big one. Toxins come into our body through our skin, how we breathe, the water, the food, but also through our toxic thoughts.
Yeah.
Right? So those, so food, environment, and thoughts are the big toxicity loads.
So what are the different types of diabetes?
So there's a few now, but the 2 main ones are type 1 and type 2. Type 1, they say, is genetic, and that your immune system, my immune system attacked my own pancreas cells that produce insulin. So I no longer produce insulin. I rely 100% on injecting insulin for any food or drink that I consume.
Wow.
Type 2 is someone who has had a very high fat and high sugar diet and has burnt out their pancreas. So they've become hyperinsulin resistant, which is what the high fat does. And they've just overworked their pancreas, so now they're not producing enough insulin in general, but probably in response to how much sugars they're eating as well.
So type 2 is definitely a lifestyle disease.
Lifestyle reversible so easily, it's mind-blowing.
Right.
Like within 10 days.
Yes.
Like it's shocking how easy it is to reverse it. And then of course you got to stay on the new lifestyle.
Yes.
You can't just do a juice cleanse and then go back to your old habits. But people are very surprised at how quickly they can reverse that.
And to me, the sad part is everybody trusts the guy with the butcher coat and the stethoscope and goes that route when you just said it's so simple to cure yourself. That's just frustrating to me.
Yeah, we live in a society where give me the pill, doc.
Yeah.
You know, I want to keep eating my junk food. I want to keep eating my processed foods and my meats and all the, the things that are high level saturated fats and processed junk food. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. So my mission now is to help people or support people to understand that I can teach you all day long what to eat, but you're not turning to a salad when you get triggered.
Right.
Right. So I'm
going to In-N-Out Burger.
Right. So we've got to address the triggers. It's key to any health program that you go through. If someone's just teaching you what to eat, that's great. You need to know. It's important to know what your body it needs nutrition wise. But if you're not managing your anger or understanding why you're getting upset in the first place and what that really is triggering within you, and oftentimes it goes back to childhood or even ancestral trauma,
Yeah.
then you're on an uphill battle with
Yes.
you'll constantly yo-yo.
Yeah. You mentioned that type 1 is genetic. Do you think that if it is genetic, do you think even if you're in a good environment, you have good emotional support, you have healthy parents, you're in a functional family, and you have a really good nutrition, would it still appear, do you think?
Yeah, so I can give you the 7 causes that I've come across so far in my research of type 1. And so, according to Bruce Lipton, our genes are turned off or on based on the environment, right? So,
Yeah.
the 7 things in our environment that can cause the gene of type 1 diabetes to be turned on, according to what I've studied so far, are adverse childhood experiences. They call them ACEs, and you can Google that. There's 8 of them. They range from your parent going to jail to being abusive. There's a list there. That usually leads to alcohol use, and alcohol use destroys your gut microbiome. It's a poison. Antibiotics use is a big one in this country, and also destroys your gut microbiome. This is a source. 70% of your immune system comes from your gut microbiome. Mold exposure, which is a big problem also that we are exposed to. Milk and wheat milk has casein, wheat has gliadin. These are both proteins that will attach to the cells in your pancreas, the beta cells in your pancreas that produce insulin, and tag them as the antigen, which means your immune system will come in and take those cells out like they're the enemy. So that's where, right, my own immune system is attacking my healthy cells.
Yeah.
So that's milk and wheat. And then the last one, energetically, I found out recently, is that missing father can lead to type 1 diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, fascinating.
I would imagine. Go ahead.
I had all of those.
Yeah. So you didn't have a prayer.
No, I created the perfect storm for diabetes to come.
No.
And I got it at 29. You're supposed to get it at 4.
Oh, so that would be called juvenile diabetes then. So it's
correct.
Okay. So let me ask you this. If all those things didn't exist in your life, okay, do you think it still would have surfaced?
Technically, it should not have. Children that are getting it at 4 years old, I would caution the mother to look at whether or not she's eating or drinking milk and wheat, right? And then, is she creating a stressful environment? If she under stress and the baby's just feeling it, even in the womb, it can happen, right? And no blame to the mothers, please, mothers out there. I've gotten attacked before. Mummies are so sensitive, and they're doing the best they can, and they don't even realize, right? Of course, I mean, formulas are all full of cow's milk.
Right.
Destructive to some babies that have this gene.
Yeah.
And they don't know. It's not to their fault, but we have to become aware.
And that's a good reason to breastfeed as long as possible, right?
Yeah. And to find healthy ways. I mean, we didn't have formula back in the day.
Yeah.
We had natural foods, whole plant-based foods.
Yeah. And today we don't have real food anywhere. Or the food that we do have is so contaminated with hormones and blah, blah, blah. It's really, I'm here in Medellin, Colombia. When I eat here, I feel like I'm eating, I grew up in the 60s, right? And so I feel like I'm eating food from the 60s, like we used to have. It's just amazing. And the sky, when I look at the sky, is like the sky I used to see when I was a child. And I look at the sky there and it's like, whoa, what happened here? So what about all that? I mean, it really
important point.
Yes.
Sorry.
No,
Go
please. You're the genius, not me.
No. You're making a really important point, because maybe you're not taking antibiotics, but the animals you're eating are.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're being fed genetically modified food, like corn and soy instead of grass.
Right.
And so their whole internal system is infected because it's having such an unnatural diet, and then they're pumped full of antibiotics. Or the cows that produce, the dairy cows that produce milk, they're trying to get as much milk as possible. So they're doubling the size of the udders unnaturally with growth hormones. Yeah. And then they're injecting that with antibiotics. All of that is passing through in the milk and the meat, and then you're eating this like high glyphosate, again, gut microbiome destroying products, with antibiotics, with growth hormones, and this is coming out of your breast milk to your babies.
Yeah. So what do you do for physical detox? What's your best recommendation for people?
I am a huge advocate of juice cleansing.
Yeah, okay.
I am not a believer in water fasting other than 24 hours once a week. That is a really great reset for your body. You can go Sunday dinner to Monday dinner. So you're actually eating every day, but you take that window off and just drink water. That's the only time I would recommend a water fast. Longer than that, your body needs nutrition and juice cleansing. I basically juice 2 pounds of green vegetables, and that is blasting my body with nutrition, but there's no need to digest anything. My body has to do is absorb the nutrients, because I've taken all that fiber out.
Yeah.
There's no breaking down of anything. I'm just absorbing nutrition, and that supports my body. And then taking those nutrients and all that energy it would go to digesting, it then goes to healing your cells.
Yeah.
And getting the toxicity out. So it's fascinating. I put my clients through a 10-day juice cleanse, and they are mind blown at how they're still going to the bathroom on day 10, how much toxicity is still coming out of them.
What kind of
mind blowing?
What kind of juice you use? I used to use Breville, and then we switched to a more mashing kind, and I'm torn between the two. What do you do?
I am now a diehard advocate of Nama juicers.
Nama.
You literally, Nama. Oh my goodness. It's a game changer. I will never use any other machine. You literally chop up the veggies and put it in, and then you turn it on and walk away. There's no like one by one pushing it in there. It does everything for you. It's the easiest thing to clean. I am crazy about this juicer. I don't know how it took so long to get this design perfected or why, but nothing compares.
Does any of the pulp get into the juice, or is it just pure liquid?
No. Separates the pulp. It comes out nice and dry. It does a fabulous, fantastic job in a couple minutes. It takes me literally 3 minutes to make a juice now instead of 25.
So I'm going to tell you and do a little commercial for our retreat center here, Mountains of Hope, because the first week is a juice feast. We call it juice feasting,
Yes.
solid food vacation, juice feasting. And what's beautiful about, we're 7,000 feet in the Andes Mountains. Every day it's 60 to 80 degrees. We grow 50 different fruits and vegetables on our property. And you can literally, and the soil is so rich, and you know the importance of soil, so get all the minerals and everything, right? And so first week is an entire juice feasting while we're giving them IVs and nutrients and ozone therapy, infrared saunas, coffee enemas. So it's a complete detox. The question for you is, at some point, should we throw a little protein in, like a protein shake throughout that?
It's not necessary. It's really not necessary. So there's a big myth on how much protein we need.
Right.
The time in a human's life where you need the most protein is when you're a baby and you're doubling in size every couple months. And if you look at mother's breast milk protein, it's somewhere between 6 and 12%. When our bodies are doubling in size. We do not need that much protein. The body's actually really good at recycling protein. So when we break down cells, which we do all day long, it reuses that protein.
Yeah.
And on top of that, everything we consume has protein. Raspberries have protein.
Exactly.
You can't make anything without protein.
I look at a gorilla and I go, hey, don't think this gorilla is eating protein here, right? Well, it is getting protein through the plants and vegetables and other stuff it eats.
Right.
But I mean, there is a big myth there. And I got a big argument with my wife on this, because I'm so glad you're on the show, because, she feels like people are going to lose muscle. And I go, no, then they're not. Their energy is going to go through the roof.
Yeah, there are two things there. Number one, you don't gain muscle by eating protein. You gain muscle by lifting heavy things.
Yeah.
So I can eat protein all day long, and my muscles aren't going to get stronger until I go to the gym.
Right.
That's one. Two, there's actually a bigger problem with too much protein, because protein, as you know, is an amino acid, 20 amino acids. It's acidic. And if you're consuming too much protein, you put your body in an acidic state, which means you will pull calcium and other alkaline minerals to buffer your blood and then flush that out of your system. You pull that calcium from your bones and from your tendons. And so people that end up with like osteoporosis or arthritis or things like, not arthritis, excuse me, osteoporosis is a degenerating of their bones because they've had a really high diet of acid.
Got it. Are you familiar with Dr. Robert Young, the pH Miracle?
Ooh, it sounds familiar. I don't know his work but
been
that
a while.
sounds wise.
So people are coming to our retreat, and is there a different juice for the type 2 diabetes that we should give versus the type 1, or the same?
No, I think in both scenarios, just no fruit, or at most half a green apple.
Yeah.
Just for a little flavor.
Yeah.
Because if you're not eating, then you can tolerate a little bit more sugars. And actually, cucumber will make my sugars go up. So, celery, romaine, cucumber juice, and then I like to play with a few different other vegetables to get a variety of minerals and a little difference in flavors.
Yeah.
You can play with fennel or bok choy or different ones, but half a green apple, because green is the least amount of sweet.
Yeah.
That's ideal. And then sometimes, if my energy does feel lower and I need some sugars, because sometimes you burn out your sugars as a diabetic, then carrots and beets, you can throw a couple of those in there. That's delicious.
Now, do you start each day with a green juice?
I always start with celery juice.
Celery. So did you read the book from the Medium?
Yes,
we read that book like
absolutely.
10 years ago. I start every day with celery now.
Oh, it's so good. Your body craves it. After a couple of days, you're like, celery juice.
Right. Exactly. Right.
And if it doesn't taste good, that means the celery wasn't good. So don't try again.
Okay.
Really important. It should taste delicious. Like, it's actually really yummy.
Yes.
So if you get a bad batch of celery, don't nix the whole concept. It's just that batch.
Good advice. So you drink celery and green juice in the morning?
Yeah, I always get my celery juice, and then I usually have my tea, my meditation with my tea, like some kind of green tea. They say green tea extends your life by 17%. I don't know who's done that study, but I like it. My body feels good with it. It's a nice, healthy start. And then if you are a coffee drinker, huge advice would be to delay that first cup till after you have something to eat. Only have 1 cup at most a day, and before 12 o'clock, or it will disturb your sleep.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about sleep. Is that an issue for you?
I sleep very well. I sleep like a bear. I love it. It's hugely important. I actually did a podcast on this, podcast number 47. It's called Sleep Like a Rock. And Kyle Lasota studied Huberman's work on what he does to support his body and sleeping really well. And it starts from the morning. You don't realize, but getting up in the morning, seeing that early sunrise, looking in the sun and getting that energy come right into your pupils, that literally sets the tone for the rest of your day and tells your brain how much melatonin to produce in the evening. It's your sleep routine starts in the morning.
Yeah, we encourage our guests to get up early. We really don't start officially till 7. Sun comes up a little before that. We encourage them to get up, get into our labyrinth, which is sand, and barefoot with as little clothes as possible, and watch that sunrise and get that red light in their eyes.
Beautiful. Very wise.
You brought up meditation. Was there a particular type of meditation you like or you practice?
For me, my meditation varies all the time. Sometimes it's 3 minutes, sometimes it's an hour. I really just I sit down, and for me it's a matter of just honoring my body and my intention and starting my day with gratitude. If I can knock that out in 3 minutes, great. If I sit there and I feel called to just stay because it feels so yummy and juicy, I honor that. But the key there is to not turn your phone on.
Oh God.
And
what's the worst habit in the world? I'm still trying to break it too, by the way, I'll be honest, but I know it's the worst thing I can do.
Well, it's just, as soon as you turn that phone on, you've let the whole world in.
Yes, exactly.
And everyone else's problems become your problems if they wanted to reach you. And it's just, it's allowing for other people in the rest of the world to dictate how your day is going to go. And for me, those moments in the morning before anyone can reach me are so sacred. They're my opportunity for I'm alone with myself. It's just, I wouldn't give up those juicy, even if it's 3 minutes, I wouldn't give up those juicy 3 minutes for anything. Like, I just want to set in, check in, tune into my body. How am I feeling? What are the sensations? What can I be grateful for? How do I want to show up today? Who can I serve today? A beautiful one is, who can serve me today? I ask these fun questions and I really just tune in. And it's fascinating. When I ask, how can I serve today? By the time I turn that phone on, I've usually gotten the answer.
Yeah. You're so right, because meditation is all about going within. And the moment you turn that phone on, you're way out there, and you're just creating the same pattern that you had before. And so that's why it's so important. These electronic things are driving me crazy, to be honest with you. I mean, seriously. I mean, they're a great tool, I know, but they're, the theory is they're going to chip us someday, right? Blah blah blah. But the truth is, we carry the chip around in our hand all day long. They don't need to chip us, and we're so dependent on this thing. And
we've been chipped.
we're chipped, and Apple chipped us. But it takes us away from our soul. We got. I think you mentioned the way food is grown today and way cows are treated. So some cows never even take a step, I don't think, and because in my mind it's these corporations. Everything's a big corporation now. You used to have John the farmer, and he would take care of those cows. I mean, it was part of the family. That's how they made money. And now everything's a big corporation. A corporation has no heart and soul. And so therefore, I think we are losing our connection to our heart and soul. And we're living up here in the insane asylum. And it's really, this is our true essence. And when we live here, then we can use this supercomputer to manifest what we truly desire. Let's talk about manifesting. What's your process of manifesting?
Wow, really beautifully stated. Just to make your previous point, we just trust companies to do the right thing,
and governments,
right. and unfortunately, we can't do that. Unfortunately, profits are being put ahead of
people,
real people, and their health. So, in terms of manifesting, we are more powerful than we've ever been taught.
Mm-hmm.
Is what I've come to realize. And just like I like to, do you remember? So you're old enough to remember rabbit ears on the TV?
Heck yeah, black and white. Right? We had to move the damn thing. Well, you're not old enough to remember that.
I remember those. We had to jiggle them around and move, try to get the reception.
And then it turns off at midnight.
So we basically have those rabbit ears on top of our heads, right? That's what I equate it to. And when you've had a saturated fat diet full of toxicity, it's like taking those rabbit ears and swirling them around in a bucket of fat and toxins. Yeah. And then they're all caked and you put them back on your head. You try and get reception. And then the next day you do it again. You swirl it around in the vat and you put it back on your head and you're trying to get reception. You're not going to be a clear channel to the messages.
Yes.
It's just that's why detoxing is so important, because it cleans all that gunk off. And all of a sudden you're like an antenna to everything you desire and all the support you need. Yeah. I don't have to make decisions anymore. I literally just ask, what is my next step?
Right.
And it will be shown clear as day to me. Yeah. That day.
You're tuned in. You're tuned in. And that's it's all energy, vibration, and frequency. And I really believe, before all this nonsense, and the reason there's pyramids everywhere in the world is I really believe that they had their own system of cell phones using their mind, like you were just saying. And that's why, the 100 monkey thing, right? And they were connected. We're all connected right now. Right here is energy, The Bible calls it ether. Tesla called it plasma. The Chinese call it chi. The Indians call it prana. But this is energy. In fact, Tesla realized it was free energy and we could use it, but there was no way to monetize it, so it didn't work. But such a powerful point. And I always say, Jesus came here with a powerful message, but if mom and dad would have fed him ho-hos and ding-dongs all day, he never would have gone off the damn couch and went and spread the good news, right? Because we got to treat the whole organism. It's the physical, it's the mental, it's the emotional, it's the spiritual. And we've lost that. Man, it's just so... And let me ask you this. This is my biggest frustration. I mean, almost everybody in America is suffering from something, right? I'll never forget as a kid... teenager or whatever, and Phil Donahue had a pharma executive on. He said, our goal is to have every American on at least 5 medications. And
wow.
Yes. Okay. I'll never forget as long as I live. And so most Americans are sick. And when I go back there, the obesity is staggering. I mean, and it's because they're not eating real food. So they can't even, the body doesn't even know how to process this junk, right? But
and they stay hungry.
Yeah, exactly. They're starving nutritionally. The cells are saying, feed me. And they go, yeah, okay, here's another Big Mac. Here's another ho-ho.
Right.
Okay. But my problem is, and I went through this myself. I lost my wife and I didn't really care. And even though I was going through things, but how do you get people to care about themselves and their health?
Oh, for me, it goes back to purpose.
Yes.
Like
Thank you.
we all want to make an impact, right?
Yes.
We all, I believe,
Yes.
most of us here think that we want to use this lifetime to make an impact.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the energy
Yes.
to get off your couch,
Right.
you're not going to make a big impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you want to make an impact even on your children or be around for your grandchildren,
Yeah.
like whatever your driver is, it's like Simon Sinek says, get to your why.
Yeah.
Why do you want energy and vitality? What if you can get to that root driver? You will then have the motivation to turn things around and study and learn what your nutrition actually, what your body actually needs.
Yeah.
How to take care of yourself, how to move your body, how to sit in meditation and honor yourself, right? And how to look at all your greatness and what are your unique set of talents that you can share with the world.
Yeah.
And make this place a better place.
Yeah.
So getting to your why of why are you even here?
Yeah.
Like it sounds so simple.
Yeah.
But what do you want to create while you're here? If you only have one life to live, what do you want to create? And a lot of us think we've got 85 years, we got 90, I'll be here 100 years. You don't know that.
Right. Right.
If you knew you had 5 years left, would you be doing the same thing?
Yeah. You hit the nail right on the head. I can't tell you. It's purpose. Because after I lost my wife, I started a nonprofit foundation serving women below the poverty line with battling cancer. And I would give financial grants, right? So the theory would, I'll support you while you go through treatment, then you get back to work and we're good, right? The problem was they got sicker and sicker and died. And I was just throwing money away. I said, okay, now what? So I started buying water purifiers, juicing machines, vegetables. Now they think I'm their doctor. I'm a car salesman. I go, oh, this isn't going to work. Okay. So now I come to Columbia and I'm building this healing retreat center. So we charge people with money and we give scholarships to people like that, or even military guys that no one cares about that are suffering and 25 a day are committing suicide. So they can come here and we teach them how to heal themselves. I really believe that they have all that power. But I've been struggling because I was, you'll relate to this because I read where you used to party a lot, but I was trying to live in both worlds, right? And so I was taking 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Finally, I said, well, then I got really sick. And I said, I have mercury poisoning and a couple other issues. And so, oh man. So now I didn't have the energy to do this. So now I said, okay, forget all that. That's over. Whatever that was, that is now over because my purpose, and I'm 66 years old, how much longer do I have to fulfill this purpose? And so I had to clean up my act, get going, and I've never felt better in my entire life. I'm still healing, but I've never felt better in my whole life. Purpose is the thing. That you just, because I've been struggling and I know for myself, but now I know how to motivate people. They got to find their purpose.
Yeah. It's key. It's the driver. So when I was partying, I used to go pretty strong, and and it was because I was numbing out an inner critic that wasn't kind.
Yeah.
Right. So anytime I got on the phone with my mother and she kind of criticized me on how I'm not doing good enough, she triggered that little button, and I would go, I'd be like, all right, joint and a margarita, please. and then I'd be happy and free and like dancing again.
Yeah.
And it was my way of bringing my body back to calm state of being okay. It was like calming my nervous system. Well, I've learned there are many other ways to calm the nervous system, and I don't get triggered anymore because I don't have that belief.
Yeah.
Anymore. I mean, it shows its head sometimes, but I'm able to go, oh, there it is again. That's cute. That's not true. Right.
Yes.
But I've done a lot of work to get myself there, to really get that sensation out of my body, because it's rationally, I've always known I'm great, but it's a subconscious belief, and there's an implant of energy in the body.
Right.
So it takes a lot of work. Breath work is one of my favorite modalities. There's no toxicity involved. Your brain produces DMT, which
Yes.
is the chemical that is found in ayahuasca. And so you can have these experiences of diving into your subconscious and reframing the experience that you had as a child and seeing it differently. And then it knocks all those beliefs down or untrue. That's one way. Plant medicine is incredibly powerful. It's not for everyone. I would
Right.
never give my mother plant medicine. She would freak out. Right. So I don't recommend it for everyone, but plant medicine is incredibly powerful at getting you into your subconscious and most importantly, getting it out of your body. The somatic healing is what's essential, or else you keep getting triggered.
Well, the beautiful thing about plant medicine is the purging, which is very powerful, but also the shift in consciousness. All of a sudden, things aren't what you think they are. There's other possibilities. In fact, I love the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, the world of infinite possibilities, the field of infinite possibilities. And that's where the real miracles take place. And that's the beauty of meditation. Get there, create what you want there, and just bring it here. Much easier than trying to will your way through it, and half the time we're trying to force something we shouldn't even be forcing for ourselves. But when we get into the field, I wrote a book called The Creation Frequency, and I have a unique way of manifesting through the power of sounds in your own voice, recording it, getting into a theta brainwave state, getting that stuff through the conscious mind into the subconscious mind, right? And then life becomes easier. It becomes easier to manifest. And that's a very simple thing. But getting people to take a few hours, learn the process, and then do it every morning, every night for a couple minutes. I mean, that's my frustration, is getting people to, let's go, because we got to get going. I think right now,
I love it.
right now, the way the world is looking to me, we got to get strong. We got to become strong physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, because there's more stuff coming. The last couple of years have not been easy, but there's a whole bunch more coming, folks, and we got to get ready for it, and we need to unite. There's so much division in America, right? And that's their magic bullet to take over, right? And we need to realize we are all connected. There is no separation. It's the illusion. If you study quantum physics, there is no real solidity, right? It's the intention that holds it all together.
I love that.
How do you see the world?
Yeah, but I want to,
Please.
let's come back to that because that's brilliant. But I didn't answer your question on purpose because back when I was partying, I was living in Aspen, and I knew that I was capable of more. And I all of a sudden walked by this, of course, as I said, I asked for guidance, and all of a sudden I walked by this street sign that says Aspen Success Coach. And I was like, all right. I walk in, I end up hiring him, and we sat down, we went through what really lights me up, and we started doing this exploratory work. What lights me up? And all of a sudden, bing, I got this memory of how I've always wanted to do interviews. I've always wanted to be like Larry King.
Yeah,
He was my model, right? He saw that. He saw something in my eye just twinkle, and he's like, what was that? Go there. And from that moment, I ended up founding Aspen Talks Health. And I found a local studio. I interviewed all the health and wellness experts in Aspen. And I realized during one of my interviews, I had gone out and drank a lot the night before, and I couldn't remember my guest's name. I blanked, and I realized I was having trouble listening to what they were saying and formulating a question at the same time. My brain just wasn't functioning. And it was in that moment that I realized that the partying is not serving me. It's actually blocking me from showing up and serving my purpose.
Yes. Powerful.
And I went cold turkey, cut alcohol out.
Wow.
Done.
Wow.
Didn't touch it for 3 months. I went totally sober, and it was profound, the effects. And so that tie-in, that realization of my purpose, I'm here to elevate human consciousness, starting with my own. And I will do that. I do that through interviewing and shining a light on other people's greatness, giving them a platform to share their wisdom.
Yes.
So that we can all learn and elevate.
Right.
That became such a big purpose that drinking lost all its appeal.
Yeah. Wow. I got to say this for the audience, because alcohol has played a huge role in my life, from every area of my life. And personally, father, kids, sister, siblings. And here's my conclusion is, bottom line, life is a hell of a lot easier without alcohol. And I don't care if you're just a one glass of wine a night or party on the week. Life is so much richer, deeper. And by the way, and I'll let the doctor speak to this, it's one of the worst things that we can put in our body. Am I right?
Yeah. It's poison. Even one glass of alcohol every night is poison.
Yeah.
It is deflating your energy the next day. There's no question. You're ruining your gut microbiome. That's again your source of your immune system. So if you're worried about, all the potential things that you could possibly get, stop drinking alcohol. You don't, there's ways to support your immune system that don't require, I don't want to say certain things, but you can boost your immune system and not worry about things that might be spread.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I asked you earlier, how do you see the world today? Where are we headed, and what would you recommend people do?
Yeah, great question. First thing that comes to mind is grow your own food. I think we're actually moving back towards the village mentality. I know a lot of my friends are buying 200 acres, and they're creating plots of land, and they have a community center as a retreat center, a community center where we can come back into community, and it's really going back to the village mentality of support. And it takes a village for all of us, whether you have kids or not. Like, you need a community of amazing, loving people.
Yeah. I told you before before we started the show, we're kindred soul. I mean, that's exactly what I would say. I was talking to a friend yesterday outside Boulder, and they just had their first child, maybe 10 months old now. And they just moved in with another couple that has a small child, and they're doing just that kind of stuff. And it takes a community. We need a community, unity, integrity, responsibility, and it has to be in a small group. And then build it from there, but it has to be out of love, service for one another, and integrity. I think the other thing the world is lacking right now is integrity.
Oh, integrity to me is the big one. And it's, if you can't trust yourself because you're maybe lying or fibbing or, doing little shady things, you can't trust the world.
Right.
And if you have that filter, if you can't trust the world will send you things you can't trust.
Right.
You will attract that.
Whatever we're vibrating at, that's the energy we're putting out, and that's what's coming back to us, without a doubt. You mentioned one of my favorite people in the world earlier, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Tell you a short little story. I run into him by accident one day. We're having lunch in Costa Rica, and I said, I just lost my wife. I said, I really can't wait to get out of my body, and be free. And he said, let me ask you a question, Mike. Can you taste chocolate when you're out of your body? And only the way he could say it, right? but he brought up a good point, But what about what does happen when we leave our body? What do you think?
It's so funny. So my hypnotherapist said, we go back to peace.
Yeah.
He said, we came here for the drama. We came from peace. And I was like, oh, that's fascinating. And then someone else said recently, someone passed away, and she goes, oh, lucky him.
Yeah.
I was like, what? and not let her life is bad, but just like, it's back to ease.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have this hard time with death, but I think it's actually a transition back to a much more easeful place. And there's an opportunity to really enjoy and indulge in chocolate and all the beauty that we have here using this body. So both are a blessing.
Yeah. Dr. Joe says we come from singularity, and now we're in duality. And in duality, you can't have good without evil. You can't have black without white, and that's the thing. And that duality exists in all of us. We call it the shadow and the light, right? And so it's just fact. That's the way this system, we live in the frequency of light, which is 1% of all frequencies. I believe that when we leave this body, some of us will return to this exact same place, this same frequency called humanity. I believe if we play the game right, maybe perhaps we go to a higher frequency where instead of animal bodies where we urinate, fornicate, defecate, we're in a light body, and it's just pure. and we communicate telepathically. So if you and I are speaking telepathically, you can't screw me over, I can't screw you over, right? So that would be utopia to me. And so we get to taste the chocolate without all the drama. That would be utopia to me. But perhaps we do go back to singularity as well. You know, I love the work of Byron Katie as well, where, you know, you said something that reminded me of that, but she's so powerful in her teachings as far as question everything, you know. What would you say to clients about that?
Yeah, she does a lot of work on the turnaround.
Yes.
So if you're pointing your finger at someone else, like my mother's hypercritical, well, how am I hypercritical?
Yeah. Right.
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 Like,
Right.
like, how am I judging everything?
Right.
How am I judging myself?
Right.
Right. And she keeps turning things around to where it's almost like a Buddhist technique of self-responsibility. How am I creating my reality?
Right. Right.
Right. And I appreciate her work for that.
Yeah, it's super powerful. So what's next for you?
Oh, so right now I'm creating a mastermind for healers in Austin. I see to growing that to a mastermind for healers around the country. And so that I'm excited about. I've joined ventures with Pure JV, which is a joint venture team. They support people in growing their audiences through partnerships and collaborations. So I'm all about supporting people in elevating in a really healthy, yummy, juicy way.
Everybody becoming the best version of themselves.
Exactly. Yeah. And then I do side work with diabetics and anyone really struggling with like life purpose or any kind of health condition. Really, it's for me, it's your opportunity, and it's a teacher. Everything's a teacher. As soon as you adopt that mentality of everything here is here to serve me, then your whole life changes.
Yes.
It was funny. Last time I was actually in Medellin, I sat with some shamans, and after the journey, I went for a walk in the hills, and all of a sudden I heard this mantra: "This moment is my medicine. This moment is my medicine." And I kept repeating it. Like I said before, I love mantras, so I kept repeating it in my head, and all of a sudden I felt the breeze on my face more, and I felt the cool air, and I heard the birds louder, and some guy yelled out "Amor" in the background, and like the moment became so juicy. And then later on, we're in like the center, and it was beeping and honking, and I heard again, "This moment is my medicine." And some guy was yelling at me or yelling at us, and I just thought, "This moment is my medicine." And with that realization, I got to experience that experience totally differently. And I was like, oh, this is a moment to practice patience and compassion and love and maybe understanding. And then maybe I can like share my love with him instead of my judgment, right? Right? Everything became a blessing. So that's really my mission now, is to support people in shifting their inner world and seeing everything as a blessing, even dis-ease. Right?
Like I said, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer at age 29 and passed at 38.
Wow.
And it was horrendous, especially when she became terminal for the last 6 months. I mean, it's amazing what they'll do to somebody. And but she was a sweetheart of an angel. She never once asked why me. She never once complained. And she said cancer was her greatest gift. And since then, I've sat face to face giving financial grants to probably close to 200 women. They all say cancer was my greatest gift, because we're sleepwalking through life until something like that happens. And then we're, like you were just saying, in that sweet present moment. Everything happens in the present moment, but we never live here. All this juicy, sweet stuff is in the present moment, and we're either in the past or in the future. And the past is a total waste. I mean, I don't mind creating a compelling future and trying to manifest it and dreaming and all that, but screw the past. It was interesting. Yesterday was the 12th anniversary of my wife's passing, or Sunday was, and my current wife said, "How are you feeling today?" And to be honest, because I'd made one last post. I used to post every time on the anniversary of her death. And finally I said, well, it's not fair to my new wife, right? So I'm just going to let that go. Not that I don't think of my late wife every day, but she said, "How are you feeling?" And I hadn't even remembered it was her date of her passing. So because the past no longer, Jesus said, let the dead bury the dead. And I think I'm not sure what he meant by that, but
interesting.
It's really about the past no longer serves us. So it's this present moment where all the miracles take place, all the richness, everything that will feed our soul is in this present moment. Like this moment I'm having with you, it's in this present moment.
Yeah, and all of that past has led you here.
Yes. Yeah, and
Even the
made me who I
mistakes.
am. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
A real quick point that I learned in my training. So I have a PhD in holistic health and nutrition, and they taught us that the body has 100 trillion cells, let's say. I don't know who counted, but let's say. They mutate, and it's very normal for the body to have cancerous cells.
Yes.
And so the body has a system that will go through and check for the cancerous cells and take them out. But when the body is loaded with toxicity from, again, food, the environment, the average woman lathers 170 chemicals on her body every day, from body lotions to makeup to hairspray to deodorants. I mean, we are covering ourselves with toxins so that the body's that becomes the primary job. Get rid of those toxins.
Yeah.
And then the cancerous cells have a chance to multiply.
Yes, exactly.
Right. That's why when you detox, as soon as you get the diagnosis of cancer, you go through a juice cleanse.
Yeah.
Get yourself to a detox specialist to support you. I can help you with that. My mother specializes in it as well. And you detox the body, and then the body will naturally it will get all the toxins out, and then it can go after those cancerous cells.
Yeah. Yep.
The body is designed to heal at all times. Cancer is literally a symptom of toxicity.
Yep. Well, thank you. This has been wonderful. If somebody wants to work with you, learn more about you, where do they find you? How do they get a hold of you?
Thank you. So wakeupwithnikki.com is my website currently. You can also go to Dr. Nikki Siso on Instagram, and you'll follow me there. I don't post so much on social media, but Wake Up with Nikki is a fun new series that I've created where people get a voice memo from me each morning, connecting them to their higher selves. And so the first one is on confidence. My next one coming out will be on health, just supporting you, connecting to your health goals and choosing wisely for that day so you can stay committed and create a really healthy lifestyle for yourself.
Wonderful. And the podcast.
Oh, yes, of course. Most important. My favorite thing on the planet to do is interview amazing humans. I need to have you on my show as well.
I'd love to.
So, gladly. It's called Legends with Dr. Nikki. That's Nikki. You have to spell out the whole thing, but you can find me on Spotify or iTunes. Legends with Dr. Nikki. I interview incredible humans on their journey to greatness. It's really fun.
Well, it's been a wonderful time for me. I'm super grateful, and I'd love to be on your show. And thank you so much, and have a great day.
Mike, I appreciate you so much. Thank you for what you're doing for the world and showing up the way you do. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I do. I know there's a lot of great stuff to share with people. Please do. People are suffering and they need this. And I'll be right back to close the show.
Imagine if you could tune into the frequency of creation, the vibration that connects you to the source of all abundance. That's what the Creation Frequency course and book will show you how to do. You will learn from Mike Murphy, who used this technique to go from a miserable and hopeless situation to a successful and happy one. You will also benefit from a 7-week program, a private community, and new tools. The Creation Frequency is not just a course or a book, it's a way of life. Join now and see for yourself.
Discover a new you at Mountains of Hope, the ultimate wellness retreat. Detox your body with doctor-approved juice fasting and IV nutrition, using fresh fruits and veggies from Colombia's rich soil. You will be tested throughout the process according to your and your body's needs for a personalized experience. Relax your mind with yoga, meditation, while learning to heal yourself by following a 9-week doctor-supervised protocol. Heal your soul with emotional support from our caring staff who will follow up with you for a year after your retreat. Mountains of Hope, where transformation lasts.
Hey, welcome back, guys. Wow, Dr. Nikki. That was special for me. What a beautiful soul that's really discovered how to create health for herself and for others. So if you know anybody that's suffering for diabetes or even has high blood sugar and is pre-diabetic, please send that to them. You know, she's got a great story. She'd be a great person to work with, and she's very, very spiritual and very deep and very knowledgeable. So I encourage you, if anybody in your life has diabetes, high sugar, and a lot of us do, right? So please share that. I want to finish the show with my own medical conditions and how I feel so much better than, 4 or 6 weeks ago. I mean, I had to pull myself out of bed to do anything. And I was always tired. I had a heart issue. I had mercury poison, severe mercury poison. So I couldn't remember from 1 hour to the next, and prostate problems and kidney problems, liver I mean, I was pretty toxic from this mercury, and not the greatest, healthiest lifestyle as well. I went on this amazing detox that I'm going to share with you in a minute. But I also gave up sugar, caffeine, drinking, pot. So I just said, it's time to, we're building this amazing healing retreat center here in Columbia, and it's time to walk my talk 24/7. I mean, I tried to play in both worlds. I'd be healthy a lot of times. I do intermittent fasting, but I'll be honest with you, I'd like to party. And just at my age, with everything going on, it's just time to stop it. So I was so fortunate to meet this guy named Dr. Christopher Shade. He has a company out of Colorado called Quicksilver Scientific. And he's put me on this. First, he gave me some precursors to fix my kidneys and some other stuff. I really don't know, to be honest with you. But within 5 days, I felt amazing. I stayed on that protocol for 10 days. Then I purchased his 9-week total detox to pull the mercury out of my body. But we all got toxins. We all got heavy metals. We all got bacteria, viruses, parasites. And it's an easy detox. I've done really tough ones. And for some reason, this one's been pretty easy for me. But the results, my energy is shot through the roof. I haven't felt this good in 20-something years. And why I'm sharing this with you is because we're creating this beautiful healing retreat center here in Medellin, Colombia, called Mountains of Hope. I invite you to check it out at mountainsofhope.com. And I got to tell you, it's the most beautiful place I've ever been. Every time I go up there, I love it. And we're building so much amazing stuff. And we've bought so much amazing healing, cutting edge technology. And so many things that we offer. So check out the website. We're going to put all the data there. But the first week is to detox, to heal the body. And the second week, and you can go for 1 week or both, but we give you a discount to go both because we want to treat the whole organism, the body, the mind, the heart, and the soul. So the first week is detox to heal the body, and then the second week is to expand your consciousness, to heal your heart, your mind, and your soul. And we do a lot of deep work, but we also have a lot of fun. We've put in pickleball courts, we got a jacuzzi, we have a yoga studio, we got a cold water plunge, we got a TrackMan golf. You can play a bunch of golf courses inside. We got a real putting green, bent grass putting green, sand trap, chipping area. We got an amazing labyrinth. It's a 20-acre piece of property. So I built a road around, a walking path around the whole thing. It's called Camino de Miguel. It's really my most favorite thing to do of all the things I've ever done in my life. And I can't tell you, we're 7,000 feet, beautiful Colombia in the Andes Mountains. And the air is so fresh. The sky reminds me when I was a kid. It's not lily white, it's really blue with real clouds. And the nature, it's about a 25-minute walk around the whole path, about 300 feet of elevation change. So you go up these steps. It reminds me of the Santa Monica stairs that I used to do with my wife, Margot, back in the day. And then we get to this top of this thing, and the vista is just amazing. It changes every 10 minutes because just the weather's amazing. Every day here it's 60 to 80 degrees. So it's beautiful every single day. The food, we grow 50 different fruits and vegetables on our property. So the first week is also a solid food vacation, juice feasting. You literally go into the garden, pick out what you want, bring it back to the kitchen, we juice it, and the soil's so rich. I mean, if you want to get well, if you have anything in your life that you need to heal, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, Mountains of Hope is the place for you. So share that if you know anybody that's suffering. In the second week, we get into A lot of consciousness work. I love the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. I like my work, The Creation Frequency, How to Manifest. I love the work of Byron Katie, Dr. Bruce Lipton. So we're going to explore all those through their books and really look at their teachings. We'd have sweat lodge ceremonies. We have open your heart ceremonies. We have healing coherence ceremonies. We have sacred plant medicines. We have cacao ceremonies. So many. There's probably like 10 different shamanic types of things you can do here to change your consciousness and realize that this 3D reality that you're looking at with your eyes every day, there's a lot more going on here than you realize. And you're 10 times more powerful than you ever realized. And now that I have my energy back, I'm vibrating at such a high frequency that I'm in tune with everything. I'm in tune with nature. I'm in tune with this intention to build this amazing place. And it just feels so great. And I want that for as many people as we can. And the beautiful thing is, for every retreat we do, we reserve a scholarship for someone that can't afford it that's suffering. So it's a beautiful place. I hope you check it out, mountainsofhope.com. Until next time, go out there, live your life with passion, and create the life of your dreams.
Thank you for listening to The Power of Your Voice with Mike Murphy. This podcast is brought to you by Mike Murphy Unfiltered, The Creation Frequency, Mountains of Hope, and the Love from Margot Foundation. These sponsors are dedicated to helping you unleash your full potential and live a life of joy and abundance. If you enjoyed this episode, please visit our website at mikemurphyunfiltered.com and subscribe to our podcast.